Hello, everybody. It is I, Alex the Hunted, your Lord and Saviour. And as it's just been a little thing that's passed you by, I don't know if you saw it. It was called the Doctor Who 50th anniversary, the Day of the Doctor, and not that many people watched it. And I just found another British dude that somehow managed to watch it at the same time I did, and that's of course Bitscreed.
Hello everyone, Matt here from Bitscreed, joining Alex here to talk about that little thing that was on telly a little while ago.
Yeah.
What was it again, Alex?
I think it was Doctor
Professor Watt or something?
Yeah, Doctor Watt or something like that. Yeah.
Dr. Watt, I do apologise. I thought it was Professor for some reason.
No, but yeah. Yes, it's the Doctor Who 50th anniversary, Day of the Doctor. If you've been living in a cave with your ears plugged on the moon,
or in one region of the world that didn't, have it shown, because it was shown globally.
Yeah, 94 countries at the same time.
94, wow. That's right. And it's recently actually earned the Guinness Book of Records for the largest simulcast drama series.
Yes.
Or the most broad, big simulcast drama all over the world.
And it's broke a box office record. I can't remember what it was, but it just came out.
I know it was millions. It was actually something. I don't know if it was like in the single digit or the double digit millions, but it was a shed load of money.
Exactly. Which is going to make people. It's Hollywood's now going to go, a Doctor Who movie.
Don't say that, Alex. Don't. No.
Well, no. Paul McGann did a good job.
Paul McGann, yes. I mean, it was 96, wasn't it? The 96 Doctor Who movie?
Yeah.
I know it was the 90s, and it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that. I mean, Paul. If it wasn't Paul McGann, it would have probably been bad. But
Paul McGann was such an underrated Doctor, and it's really great. I don't know if anyone out there saw the Night of the Doctor,
the prequel webisode, also looking at on YouTube, that's got something like 3 million views. So
wow, that is a lot.
Yeah, so if you watch that, you finally get to see how Paul McGann regenerated. The ape regenerated into. Is it? Oh, this is something we have to clear up.
Okay. Yeah.
Is John Hurt's Doctor the Ninth Doctor or the War Doctor?
Wait, here's the thing, and I was thinking about this actually last night, having watched the episode again. The law has always been, each Time Lord has 12 regenerations. They can regenerate 12 times, right? Yes.
You can have 13 Doctors, basically.
Yeah, basically. Well, loads of people seem to think like William Hartnell counts as one regeneration. So, there can only be 12 Doctors. No, it's 12 regenerations. So, say the Doctor is born or spun from a loom, if you know your Doctor Who lore like I don't.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of mixed also, because there's also the thing, there's two things. It's either Time Lords are born or Time Lords are created.
Yeah, that's the thing, and there's conflicting stories, as is always the case in Doctor Who's, whether the Doctor was born or spun from a loom or something.
And then there's the Cardinal Master Plan.
God, yeah, the Cardinal Master Plan. Was it the Lung Barrow novels as well? Which I've never. This is all stuff I've just sort of picked up by osmosis. Mm-hmm. But so here's the thing: William Hartnell's obviously the first Doctor, not necessarily the first regeneration. He just grew old, into William Hartnell and then regenerated. So canonically, he hasn't hit his regeneration cap yet, even with John Hurt, the War Doctor.
Well, actually, that's the thing. Also, I think I should probably link to this. Stephen Moffat has actually come out and said David Tennant technically regenerated twice.
He did, didn't he?
Yes.
As I recall. Which episode was that?
That was the Stolen Earth.
The Stolen Earth, yeah, because he got
shot by a Dalek.
And there was the regeneration energy in his old hand. Oh, God. I sound like such a nerd.
And isn't it great?
Yes, relish in it.
I mean, all you people who talk about football and say we're nerds, we have more interesting things to talk about.
That's it. Football fans are just as big nerds as we are. Yeah. They just nerd out over men kicking a ball around.
Exactly.
Or throwing one, in America's case.
Exactly. Oh, I get so berated by that on one of my videos because I'm not American and I call it football, not soccer.
You could call it, you call it football.
Yes.
Some people call it football to sort of distinguish it. But we're getting off topic
anyway,
here.
Yes.
A lot of people online tend to be sort of, at the moment at least, they're sort of calling John Hurt Doctor 8.5.
Yeah.
Which I think is as convenient a rationale as anything, really, isn't it?
If you go by that the Doctor has regenerated 12 times, and actually if you count that David Tennant regenerated twice, the Doctor actually is at his cap at the moment.
He is, yes, absolutely. So he's at his cap, or has he busted through his cap?
Let's think about it. So obviously 1 till 8, 1 till 9, obviously, sorry, no. 1 till 8 is 8 regenerations. 8. There's 8. There's the War Doctor. That's 9.
9, yeah.
9. Chris Rexon, 9th Doctor, 10.
He's the 10th regeneration, yeah.
David Tennant regenerated twice.
11, 12. So, actually, he's already broken through the cap then. Because if in that case, Matt Smith is the one after that, I think.
Wait.
I've had a long day and I'm drinking at the moment, so my mathematical skills are a bit fuzzy.
Let's think about this. So 1 till 8. 1 till 8, that's 8. 9, 10, then 11. Maths is hard.
It is. I was never any good at maths. Well, I was all right, but that was a long time ago.
Well, actually, no. The Doctor has regenerated 13 times.
Ah, well, there we go. He's already broken the cap, but then that was an artificial limit anyway, imposed by the Time Lords of Gallifrey.
And he's the last one anyway. Well,
and he's the last one anyway.
Actually,
so,
should we go into spoilers?
Well, shall we? Everyone knows who the next Doctor is going to be.
Yeah.
So it's not
Felix
really
Capaldi.
And this is a spoiler cast. So
exactly.
I have put.
If you're watching this on, I don't know whose channel it's going on actually, but we can put it on both.
You could put it on both. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, no one's going to get. But anyway, the spoiler. There will be big in bold capital letters spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should have like River's song as well in the thumbnail.
That would be a good idea, actually. Put River Song in the thumbnail, put massive spoilers in the title, spoilers in the description. Not actual spoilers, just the word spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. There is spoilers in this. If you follow if you haven't seen it yet, why the hell are you watching this?
Exactly.
And two, just click off the video now, okay? Because we're going to give you.
And then come back later once you've watched everything else. Yes.
I mean,
after you've watched every single episode of Doctor Who ever made.
Actually, I was thinking there's been 799 episodes of Doctor Who. Matt Smith's regeneration episode is going to be the 800th episode.
Wow. So that's another massive milestone.
Exactly.
And a nice convenient round number as well.
Yeah.
Which can't hurt, can it?
Yes, but anyway, the Day of the Doctor.
Day of the Doctor.
How did you find it?
I loved it. Not going to mince words.
Yeah.
You know, in the words of Malcolm Tucker from In the Thick of It, I fucking loved it. Something he never said, but he'd use that kind of language. Yeah.
Well, actually, he would go, I effing, bleffing, beeping, seeing, being.
By all means, feel free to censor out my horrendous vulgarity.
Oh, no, I'm not. No, you can swear as much as you like. I'm not going to.
Thank fuck for that.
My little brother's right next door.
Gotcha, right, okay. I'll be the foul-mouthed drunkard.
Everyone's got one.
Oh, yes.
But yes, Day of the Doctor, I did love it as well. Although it's not the best episode of Doctor Who ever.
It's not a perfect episode. No, it has its faults, definitely. A good place to start is at the beginning.
Yeah.
I felt still quite tight, but the intro felt a bit fillery, and it dragged a bit. Where UNIT are taking the TARDIS to the Tower of London.
Did they really have to? Exactly. It was when the Doctor goes, "You can knock." It was like. Yeah, really, I don't know what level of decision making went. How should we get in contact with the Doctor? You know, his time machine can move anywhere in time. Could we phone him up? Could we? I mean, actually, UNIT has his phone number, for God's sake.
Yeah, they could just say, "Hey, Doctor, could you come by the Tower of London, please? We've got something to show you. Since you technically work for us." Nope, they pick him up by helicopter with a crane
and nearly kill him.
Imagine the alternate universe, sort of like ending to Day of the Doctor. Doctor falls to his death from the TARDIS, and
the Zygons take over the world.
The Zygons take over the world. Spoilers.
That's not really. They're in the damn trailer. I don't think it's.
I know.
But yeah, that's a bit of a. Did you really need to do that? Like, as opposed to.
Yeah, it's a nice advert for London, I suppose.
Exactly, it pretty much was.
Look at these lovely establishment shots of London. Establishing shots, rather.
Look, this is London.
This is London. This is the London Eye. This is the Tower of London. These are places you can go to.
In London.
People in foreign countries.
This is London. Yes. And every now and then a TARDIS will fly overhead.
Yes. Come to London and spend your money. Just don't stay. It would be the attitude of the government.
Yes. You can come here, spend as much money as you want. Don't stay here, though. You're not welcome.
Yes, because our government is mean and unpleasant. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting all political. I really shouldn't. Moving back onto Doctor Who.
Day of the Doctor for me. I also have a problem because I say I'm the film guy. Oh, hang on. I've got to go. I'll be back in a minute. I've just got to go quickly
how
fetch tea.
Unprofessional.
I'll leave you on this cliffhanger. What did I have a problem with? Ooh. But yeah, 1 second. I'll be right back.
Of course, I could just keep on talking. Hello, everyone. I really haven't got anything to talk about, so I will just browse the internet until Alex returns. And have a little cough. Oh, now the call's ended, apparently. Hello again.
Sorry about that. I actually kept recording, which is a good thing.
I kept recording as well, so...
My dad decided, what would be a good way of getting my attention? I know, turn off the internet.
Oh, dear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as ways of getting attention goes, you can't really beat that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're using it.
Exactly.
Luckily, I don't have that problem because I only live with a cat.
Yeah. Oh, one day I shall be living in that world as well. Well, a different kind of pussy.
Obviously. With a cat?
Probably not a cat.
Ah, cats are lovely.
I don't mind cats, but actually I probably couldn't have a dog because dogs are too dependable and idiots.
They are. Whereas cats, you can just leave them to their own devices. They'll do whatever they like.
Yeah. The only thing the only reason I see a cat over a dog is if you get hurt, a dog would make a fuss and have people grab people's attention. If you get hurt and you have a cat, the cat won't give two craps.
The cat will actually wait for you to die and then eat you.
Yeah.
Now there have been cases where crazy old cat ladies have died and people have gone in a week later and found her cat's eating her. Eating her dead body. Are you eating, by the way? I thought I heard...
Yes.
Oh. Enjoy your meal.
That?
Yes, I heard the clatter of a fork on a plate. Or a spoon on a plate. Cutlery. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So where were we? We were talking about the opening sequence.
One of the problems I had with Day of the Doctor, which was... the damn some of the editing was a bit questionable. It had a quick cut to something and then it would cut back and then cut straight back to it again. Actually,
yes, I did notice that. The part right in the opening sequence, just as the TARDIS is being picked up, there's something on the TARDIS display console.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember what it was. I only just saw it again last night. It's like alert TARDIS in motion or something.
A quick flash and then it cut straight back.
Yeah, because I was watching it with my girlfriend and she commented on this as well. I was like, what did it say on the screen? And luckily I knew to watch out for it this time. But even now I can't remember. It was just literally up on the flash and then gone again. And then
there was another instance of that when Clara was putting in the code for the time thing. It did the camera panned down to the number, then it cut back and then it cut back continuing the pan. Couldn't you just continue the pan and then done that scene?
It's cut to camera, cut to Clara, cut to camera again, and then Clara's rapidly, super fast typing in all these numbers.
Because she's smart. If it hasn't been established,
that was a really nice sort of twist there to introduce the Zygons. Have already taken over UNIT pretty much by subverting Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart's daughter.
Yeah. What's her name? What's her name again? I can't remember her name.
God. I just know her as Mrs. Lethbridge Stewart.
Yeah. She's the head of UNIT now, basically.
Yeah, let me just...
To Google.
I do have... To Google.
Yeah, Kate. That's her name, Kate.
All right, Kate Lethbridge Stewart. There we go. Now we know her name. Or we remembered her name, rather. But yeah, we're jumping ahead a bit, though.
Well,
we are jumping ahead.
She is in the first 5 minutes. But yeah.
She is, yes. Observing the battery-operated ravens at the Tower of London. I don't know if you caught that line or not.
Did I? Actually, no, I missed that line.
Oh, she's talking about, when science girl... Osgood.
Yeah.
That was her name. The asthmatic science girl wearing Tom Baker's scarf.
Who I also think was how Stephen Moffat sees Doctor Who fans.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, of course, is that Stephen Moffat himself is...
a Doctor Who fan.
A massive Doctor Who fan. He's even said himself, it was a recent interview, I think it was The Guardian. He talked about himself as a young Doctor Who fan, writing fan fiction, coming up with his own stories. I mean... For all
the first Doctor Who thing he ever wrote for TV was the comic relief sketch one, which had
Rowan Atkinson
as
Curse of Fatal Death.
Yeah, that was written by Stephen Moffat.
Wow, I actually had no idea.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Now that's have that for nerdom for you.
And then if you hold that up and compare it to the likes of, the Doctor Dances, The Empty Child, it's like so totally different. And
he hasn't been on his top game recently, but he has with Day of the Doctor and the Name of the Doctor, which actually, have you noticed the most recent names have had to have Doctor in it? Because you got Day of the Doctor, Night of the Doctor, Name of the Doctor, and the new one, which was just announced, was it the Time of the Doctor or something like that?
Yeah, after that, though, I think they're probably going to run out of words to put in front of it. So you've got day, night, time. Eternity of the Doctor, eons of the Doctor,
the Doctor's Revenge,
century of the Doctor, millennia of the Doctor. Actually, we could go on.
Yeah.
But let's not. No, there's a part, anyhow, where Kate Lethbridge-Stewart is observing the ravens of the Tower of London when Osgood, the science girl with the inhaler and the Tom Baker scarf, one of many nods to the originals, mentions that the raven. She says the ravens are looking a bit sluggish. Tell someone, I didn't catch the name, to put new batteries in them.
I missed that, yeah.
It's again, I only picked it up on my second viewing, but it's like just little comedic details, and it's interesting that you brought up Curse of Fatal Death because there was a lot more comedy.
Yes, this was a very. It was the thing though. When you do fandom and fan service, you have to put comical error. You can't do serious fan service. That's really hard to do.
You usually can't do one because there were plenty of serious moments and moments of some real gravity in this episode.
Yeah.
And gravitas, I should say.
But the fan service moments, you can't do a serious fan service. It's really hard to do.
You can't do it straight face, no. Yeah. And I think Moffat did the fan service really well. It wasn't too over the top. It wasn't overwhelming.
At no point did they go, look at this. Hey, remember this?
Do you remember this? Look at this scarf. Yeah. Look at this TARDIS. Look at this. They were very subtly done.
There was one, which is the final line of David Tennant.
Yes. But then again, you'd have to be a real hardcore fan.
That was really poking fun at Russell T Davies, actually, I thought.
You think so?
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but Russell T Davies made the transition from him to Stephen Moffat as difficult as possible. Not in behind the scenes, but in how he wrote it. He made the David Tennant's Doctor the most heartbreaking, the most. I don't want him to go. I want the new Doctor. I don't like this new Doctor sort of thing.
And that was exactly my reactions to Matt Smith as well. I was like, no, I don't want this new Doctor. I want David Tennant.
Exactly.
Who is this rubbery-faced goon eating fish fingers and custard? But by the end of Matt Smith's first episode, I was totally sold. So
David who?
Who? David what? Christopher who?
Yeah.
There is only one Doctor now.
Exactly. And what I love about Matt Smith is his favourite Doctor is the second Doctor. One of my favourites. He's not my favourite, but...
There is a lot of Patrick Troughton in Matt Smith's performances. Troughton, sorry. I don't want to say Troughton. It's because it's spelled like Troft, but it's Trout. I know. Sorry.
Sounds like Trump. Actually sounds like Trumpton, but only British people will not get that joke.
Ah, yes. Pew, Pew, Barney McGrew, Cuthbert, Dibble and Grub.
Yeah.
That was Trumpton, wasn't it?
I have a Dibble statue at home.
Ah, you have a Dibble statue.
Yeah. No one knows what we're talking about.
I've literally got nothing to say to that. I really don't.
Nobody knows what we're talking about.
Some...
Only British people know what we're talking about.
Especially older British people will remember. I very vaguely remember Trumpton, but we're not here to talk about Trumpton, Alex.
No, we're not. But yes,
we'll save that for another time.
Yeah, the retrospective on Trumpton video, which will probably never happen.
The Trumpton retrospective coming soon to either my channel or Alex's.
Possibly
ladies
never.
And gentlemen at home. No, we will do this.
Okay.
We will talk about Trumpton.
All right.
Which means I'll have to watch the episodes. All my memories of Trumpton are really half-remembered ones. This is going to require a lot of editing, isn't this, Alex?
No, I'm keeping this all in. That's the thing.
You're keeping it all in?
Yeah, it's like the Legion of Geeks. We cut nothing from the Legion of Geeks.
Absolutely nothing?
Yeah. Everything we say on the Legion of Geeks goes on the uploaded version onto YouTube.
Actually, yes, it does, because I usually watch the Legion of Geeks live when I can.
Which you should watch, by the way, in self-promotion. And also subscribe to Bitscreed channel and my channel, selfless promotion.
Shameless plugs.
Yes.
Back to Doctor Who, because that's what the people are here for. That's what they're here to listen to us talk about.
What were we talking about?
We got to the part where the Doctor had finally arrived at the Tower of London, having been picked up by a unit.
Yeah, by the way, keeping the Doctor incognito and the fact that he's faked his death, not really, splending in, that sort of thing, I think that's going to be all over the news that a helicopter landed in Trafalgar Square.
But if you remember, although the Doctor removed himself from existence, back in Asylum of the Daleks still knew who he was for the most part.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate about that, isn't there? Like, I
Yeah,
don't
well,
like that twist, by the way. I really don't like it.
Where he removes himself from all the Daleks' racial
yeah.
memory.
Yeah, that makes no point.
That was...
it's not. It's pointless. It makes it's no sense at all. Yeah, but anyway.
Sorry, excuse me. I'm just choking here.
No, don't worry. That's going to be a hell of a video, catching your death on.
The death of Bitscreed. I had so much to live for. So yes, of course, then the Doctor arrives at the Tower of London and receives a letter from Queen Elizabeth I, his wife,
played by Stacey from Gavin and Stacey. And
I never watched Gavin and Stacey.
I never did as
ever.
well. I only caught like a couple of episodes, and that was only like flicking through the channels and saw 5 minutes of it. And I swear, she is in Elizabeth. The woman who plays her in Elizabeth I is playing Stacey like she was in Gavin and Stacey. She even has like the high pitched voice at some parts where she's confused. Like, this was the Queen of England, and you're making her look like a teenager.
See, although I never watched Gavin and Stacey, I did watch Blackadder. And
good point.
Her performance reminded me a lot of Queen Elizabeth I in Blackadder.
Yeah.
I may have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a concrete elephant. One line I remember from that. I'm sure I'll remember more.
Yeah.
But
but I really didn't like her performance, by the way. I just found her too annoying. Like,
it didn't annoy me as such, but it wasn't really memorable. I don't mean that.
And she actually kind of just left. If you know, she didn't have like an entry. She just disappeared from the episode.
Well, yeah, but then her part had been done by then, because the Zygons had originally invaded Elizabethan England, but there was nothing there for them, not enough advanced technology. So we then moved on to the Zygons plot, where they hide themselves in Time Lord art,
which is actually kind of a good twist on how they originally, like their original first showing in the Fourth Doctor episode, Terror of the Zygons, I think it is. Yes, where they can change shape. Basically, they can basically turn themselves into any person they like. And
do they still have access to their copies' memories?
Yeah.
Oh wow! Again, because I grew up watching Sylvester McCoy Doctor, and I've watched a fair bit of the older ones, but I've not watched near as many hardcore Doctor Who fans would. My knowledge is patchy, but I've watched
one of every single Doctor. And I'm currently going through all the episodes as much as I can. I can't do the missing ones.
No, no one can.
No, even though but anyway, yeah. And so I've seen and I saw Terror of the Zygons. I've passed that. That's actually got some dark moments in it, actually.
A lot of classic Who was really, really surprisingly dark for the time.
Yeah. But the Zygons, how they can transform into anything, and actually in this one they can transform into animals as well. It transformed into a horse. Remember?
Oh yes, of course. For some reason I was thinking of the rabbit.
No,
that wasn't a Zygon.
No, that was another
fine moment of sort of like the comedy.
Yeah.
In this, where David Tennant is talking down to this rabbit. I'm the Doctor. I'm the last of the Time Lords of Gallifrey. I'm the oncoming storm, and you're basically a rabbit, aren't you?
And the best thing about it was how he turned. He dropped at the drop of a hat. He turned from like all serious to I'm making a fun
you're
of
basically
myself.
a rabbit, and I've made a tit of myself.
Yeah, like pretty much instantly, and that's how it shows how much a good actor David Tennant is actually. And David Tennant's a really good actor.
He's a fantastic actor. I mean, no question
about it. And Doctor Who got him into acting, by the way. All the interviews he said he got into acting because of Doctor Who.
Specifically Peter Davison era Doctor Who, as I recall.
Speaking of, and also if we go like Doctor Who timey-wimey thing, he's married to his daughter of the Fifth Doctor. Which
is referenced in the Peter Davison written and directed 5.5 Doctors-ish reboot. Yes. No, was it ish? 5.5-ish Doctors reboot, that was it.
Well, actually not referenced.
That was great. Yeah. If you haven't watched that yet, check that out.
That's brilliant.
It's just, if you're a massive Doctor Who fan, even if you're just like a relatively casual Doctor Who fan who's seen plenty of the old episodes, you'll get a real kick out of it. Yeah. I did. I loved every moment of it.
Yeah. I love how I love that. But anyway, that's again
for another time. We are getting sidetracked. What were your thoughts on seeing David Tennant again as the Doctor after so long? Really, I mean, it has been quite some time
3
now.
years since his last appearance.
3 years.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm saying wow a lot tonight.
But yeah, I honestly, what I did like about it was that they didn't play it up too much. Like, they didn't do like the grand return of David Tennant. Well, the media.
It wasn't like dun dun dun. Tennant has returned.
No,
fangirls rejoice.
No, it's like they didn't like each. What I liked about each Doctor got this. No Doctor was overshadowed by another one. You know.
No, they all got very equal presence and equal screen time for the most part. Well, yeah, it was actually it was pretty much equal screen time for all of them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They introduced them separately, and once it brought them all together, they were pretty much with each other the whole time.
That's the best moment of the show, is the banter of the Doctors. How they play off each other is just brilliant.
It felt so natural as well.
That's always the best part of any like multi-Doctor stories, is how the Doctors react to each other. The 3 Doctors,
and
the 5
chemistry
Doctors, the 2 Doctors, the Big Finish audio multi-Doctor stories. That's always the best part of it, is when the Doctors play off each other
and just sort of just interact and just be the Doctor at each other in their each expressing their own sort of unique interpretation of the Doctor, but it all, you can see it's just all the same character, but different facets of the same character, and it's fantastic to watch, and it was one of the most enjoyable aspects, I think, of the 50th anniversary special, was just seeing the chemistry between the 3 Doctors.
Yeah, and it's not like they're not like, there's envy. They're not like, they don't like hate each other. You know, they're not like angry at each other at any point. They're annoyed at each other at sometimes, and they, you know, like have friendly like sparring kind of. You know what I mean? Like
what was the nicknames? Grandad and Sandshoes.
Yeah.
Were Matt Smith's nicknames for the other 2 Doctors.
Or commentating to something, you know, Regenerations of Bingo.
Oh, lottery, John Hurt's outrage at timey-wimey. Timey-wimey?
And David Tennant going, I have no idea where he gets it.
I have no idea. And that got a real chuckle out of my girlfriend, because she'd recently seen the Tennant ones. We'd just seen Series 6.
Yeah.
And there's the Matt Smith era. We're still waiting to get onto Series 7. I need to get my mitts on those. But that got a big chuckle out of her as well, because she's very much a casual, very, very casual Doctor Who fan. You know, she knows what...
She knows that there's 11 Doctors. She knows that, 12 Doctors now.
12, yeah.
She knows that there's 12 Doctors. She knows each of the Doctor, basically, you know, practically. Like, she knows.
Practically, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, it's one of those things, like, she doesn't know everything about Doctor Who, but she knows the basics.
She knows the basics, yeah. She knows what the average TV viewer would know.
Yeah. And she can recognise moments, like, and also another part of my favourite one was, they're reversing the polarity, but they're both reversing the polarity.
They're both reversing it, so they're just confusing the polarity. Again, the humour in this episode is something that really, really shone, I thought, personally.
Yeah. This is also something that sometimes annoyed me about New Who, is when they reference old Who. Like, sometimes they got a bit too carried away with it. But this one actually felt right, you know, because one, it's an anniversary episode.
Balanced, yeah.
And two, again, it never like slapped you around the face with the reference. Like it was.
Which brings me to a point I'd like to make. I honestly think that if you hadn't seen sort of like the New Who, I think this episode, someone who hadn't seen New Who could watch this episode and still enjoy it.
And also learn the basics as well, because it kind of does go through the basics.
It does very much introduce the basics. It introduces the Time War. It introduces that the Doctor has saved so many civilizations. He's encountered so many alien species. He's between 9 and 1200 years old, depending on his incarnation, although he does forget.
Yeah. He's also his mortal enemies of the Daleks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Daleks, actually, I thought they could have had a bit more screen time. Like, there was a lot of talk of Daleks, but there wasn't a lot of Daleks on screen.
Well, I think we saw all the Daleks we would see in the episode right near the beginning in the sequences on Gallifrey.
Yeah.
And one towards the end out of a picture. But to be honest, it wasn't really about the Daleks. No. I mean, we didn't really see that much of the Time Lords either.
No. It was really more about, it was really what it was about. There wasn't actually, and even the Zygons really weren't an outright villain. Like, they weren't a big baddie to be stopped. The thing was about the Doctor's choice at the Time War. That's what this one was about.
Exactly. It was a very personal, despite the grand scale of it, it was still at its heart a very personal story, in this case for the Doctor, or for 3 of the Doctors, in fact.
Exactly, yes. And also how they explained why again there aren't any classic doctors in this episode. Like, you know, to a point,
To a point,
none
yes.
of the classic doctors show up, and it's actually explained why, because the as you know, Billie Piper's in this, but she's not playing Rose. Thank
No,
God.
she's not. Yeah, I really liked her performance.
Yeah.
For those who've seen the episode, well, obviously, if you hadn't seen the episode, you wouldn't be listening to this. But obviously, while she appears in it, she's not as Rose Tyler herself. She's the consciousness of the moment, which is a Time Lord super weapon.
And all the complaints I have about Rose Tyler, it's about her character, not about Billie Piper, because Billie Piper is a really good actress. Again.
And Billie Piper did a really, really good job as the role of the consciousness. Sorry, the conscience
of the moment,
the interface. That was it, of the moment.
Yeah.
She had herself a bit of a sort of a quirky doctor attitude about her. She could have been like sort of a female doctor.
Sort of, or like, yeah. And that's because, I have a huge problem with Rose Tyler. I don't see why so many people like her, because she's really bitchy, she's really self-centered, she's really, yeah.
Again, I didn't have too many problems with her, but so many people forget Martha Jones.
Yeah. Oh, it's because, and there's also, again, Russell T Davies, really, because that's the biggest also problem I had with Rose Tyler as well. She never left.
Yeah, there is that. She always sort of hung around. It's like she was always coming back. It's like, let it go, man. Let it go.
No
Russell.
other companion had that much of a goodbye. Her goodbye took 2 damn seasons.
It's just like Doctor Who, the goodbye of Rose Tyler. Just 2 whole seasons.
Yeah.
Of Rose sort of crying and looking sad, and the Doctor looking a bit sad. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent as well. But the character she plays in this episode's not Rose Tyler, and I think it was a great performance. It was she wasn't in it much, but when she was on it, it's like she was very much a definite, memorable presence on the screen, I thought. Hello?
And we're back. Yes. Anyway, yeah. Billie Piper, like saying, she kind of played that kind of quirky, and how she kind of tormented the Doctor at times, you know.
Well, as the Time Lord said, the weapon, the moment itself stands in judgment on whoever uses it, and
that was
it was a very subtle judgment that she sort of passed on the Doctor as the role of a judge. It was a very very subtly
and a very
done.
Good punishment as well. If you activate this, you will be the only person who survives it.
Yes, you will have to live. You will be the only one to see the consequences.
You will have to live with it
in Time War, and you will have to live with it. Yeah.
Actually, you know how most people say Christopher Eccleston's Doctor was very, very, very like grumpy all the time. Seeing this, I completely understand it now.
But on the subject of doctors and grumpiness, do you remember the episode before this, the very last episode of the last series? Name of the Doctor, yes. The way the John Hurt character, we were led to believe that the John Hurt Doctor, the War Doctor...
I thought it was the Valeyard.
Oh, now that's getting into real heavy Doctor Who lore areas. Let's not go there, Alex, because we could just talk all night about that. But the way he was set up in the Name of the Doctor was like this very, very dark, horrible... And we're kind of led to expect some sort of, basically, an evil Doctor, like a Valeyard. And it was great that he wasn't. That he was still fundamentally a good man, a kind man, neither a coward nor...
He just had enough, basically.
He was just tired of war, and couldn't see any other way out. And it's not, he didn't gleefully, I'm going to nuke the Time Lords and the Daleks, kill them all. I think he wasn't even, he was still the Doctor, but his single act, his single act of ending the Time War, causing genocide, caused him to renounce it, causes future generations to renounce him in a way.
Exactly.
Very undeservedly. So that, and the moment, we'll have to talk about that later because that's towards the end. But the way he was set up to be, so we were led to expect some sort of evil Doctor, and he wasn't. He was still the Doctor, just not in name or title.
Well, yeah, that's what the Doctor said. He picked the name of the Doctor because the Doctor's supposed to, heal, make things better, and. That's why John Hurt's Doctor wasn't classed as they weren't calling him the Doctor, because technically committing 2 acts of genocide, not really healing.
No, more like euthanasia, in a way.
So I can understand why they didn't call him the Doctor, but the hatred toward him, maybe they were just trying to maybe they were just trying to forget what he did, not the person he was.
Perhaps at the end of the name of the Doctor, we were really sort of seeing the Doctor's viewpoint of how he viewed that past self. So, sinister, something dark, to be sort of buried and hidden
Yeah, that's
away.
what I got as well, because I thought it was like going to be some really evil, like he was going to be like a big bad guy, like the Doctor.
It's sort of like Time Lord Hitler.
Sort of, and no, it's like because when you're in that like 2 minutes of him being the Doctor, he was sort of just he was, that last 2 minutes of the name of the Doctor, he was sort of like, when he first saw John Hurt, he was like, oh God, no, not him, sort of thing.
And you had that whole sort of like Inception style, wah, introducing John Hurt.
Kind of ruined, that kind of ruined the moment for me. It's like, did you?
That did rather. Have you ever gone? I've linked you this site before, but have you ever been to introducingjohnhurt.com? Yes. Fantastic site. Go there, have a chuckle for a minute, and then never go there again.
Yeah, and also,
but your life will be enriched by going there.
And even though it's one of those things, it's sort of like actually, I've forgotten the point I was going to make. But anyway, also moving on. Shall we spoil it now? Shall we go? Because we're spoiled. Yeah.
Let's go full on into spoiler
so
territory.
It turns out,
lead the way.
The moment makes the Doctor see his future, and then the two Doctors come to the moment that John Hurt's War Doctor was just about to kill off all the Time Lords.
A moment which wasn't time locked, unlike the rest of the Time War, as David Tennant's Doctor points out.
And they both go there, and they're actually going to do it anyway. Like they were going to do it anyway.
Yes.
But then, because there's 3 Doctors, they come up with an idea. And
inspired in a way by Clara.
Exactly.
Because the way she was sort of just looking at Matt Smith with tears in her eyes. And again, it returns to a long-running theme throughout all of Doctor Who, is that the Doctor likes hanging around with humans. And in fact, kind of needs to hang around with humans. He needs to be with humans because as much as he empowers his companions, they also strengthen him morally.
When he's with a companion, he makes his best. He makes his best decisions with a companion. Like when he's by himself, perfect example of this. The Beast Below, not a very good episode, but because Amy was there, he didn't kill off the space whale thing. And then there was the Waters on Mars episode. Doctor didn't have.
I was going to bring up Waters
on Mars.
Companion.
He basically broke his own rules and made a bad decision.
Made a very, very bad decision. And yes, of course, and that's the thing, is that in a way he needs humans, not necessarily to judge him and stuff, but and I wouldn't say he really needs him as a moral center, but occasionally he needs to be reminded of something. And I'm finding it hard to sort of put it into words. Because Doctor Who has always been about, the power of human achievement, the heights that humans can reach. And the Doctor always judges humanity and humans in general by the best he's seen of them. And so when they don't live up to those standards...
kind of looks down on them a bit. Like he sees himself as a bit superior to them.
It's more of sort of a paternal attitude, sort of like a dad or something, or like a parent. Trying to sort of guide and trying to get him to do the right thing. And so it's always really great when the tables are turned and humanity inspires the best in him, inspires him to do the right thing, like it did in the Doctor.
And the basis for it is the Doctor. He pretty much gathers all the Doctors, all 30,
all his past regenerations, and
future.
And yes, his
and actually they just said all 13.
Peter Capaldi. All 13, yes.
And that
and we get that shot of Peter Capaldi's eyes and forehead.
Angry eyes. Like very angry eyes.
I've already told you this, but I just like to imagine it off camera. Yeah. When David Tennant goes Allons-y and Matt Smith goes Geronimo and John Hurt says Gallifrey stands. I like to just imagine Peter Capaldi's character flicking a lever in the TARDIS and going Fockety bye.
Exactly.
That's my headcanon. For that
Actually,
episode.
Speaking of Peter Capaldi, just a quick thing. I'm kind of seeing as a sort of John Pertwee kind of Doctor. very serious.
That would very sort of serious, but I think John Pertwee had this sort of lighter side. But I see where you're coming from.
Exactly.
With
Every
that
Doctor has like the bit of childish side to them, but John Pertwee was the most serious. Like,
yeah. Will Peter Capaldi's Doctor know Venetian Aikido?
Who knows?
Now that's mad Doctor Who lore right there. I'm dropping all these lore bombs into the conversation
here. And speaking, and also they had saying they had all 13 Doctors, and they basically did they move Gallifrey or did they just put it somewhere else? I can't remember what
they transport Gallifrey into its own sort of pocket section of time,
but
hidden somewhere.
No idea where
basically,
it is.
they just pluck Gallifrey out of existence for a moment, long enough for the mass Dalek fleet to destroy itself.
But
in the
did
crossfire.
You see that one like Dalek ship flying away, which explains the Dalek episode?
Yeah, and well, I mean that was more sort of like a weird sort of Dalek fighter craft, but I don't know. But that's the thing, because all Dalek vehicles look like Daleks. It's like, is it a vehicle or is it just a Dalek in a bigger shell?
But it kind of made it so that the events that happened,
it allowed for survivors.
The thing that happened that how the Ninth Doctor regenerates, because he basically he generates because of the Daleks, basically, because he takes Rose back because of the Daleks, because he knows he's gonna kill, like he's gonna have to kill a lot of people for this, and he doesn't want to kill Rose. And he absorbs the hollow. Rose absorbs the hollow of the TARDIS, and he takes it from her, and that's too much energy for his body to cope. So he basically burns up and regenerates because of the Daleks. Like, it's all happened because of the Daleks.
Pretty much, yeah. Speaking of like links to other episodes, you've spoken of a link to Dalek there. How did when you first watched They're the Doctor, did you wonder, like I did, how it fit in with the end of time?
Yes, I was actually. I was thinking that. I was like, because the David Tennant, he was saying like the Time Lords around, they're all like evil and psychopaths and all that.
And Gallifrey is returning from behind the time locks and so forth.
Exactly. But
now, because I felt the same thing, but there is a line in Dare the Doctor, spoken by the Time Lord War Council, or by the General, which is different because he mentions that the High Council of the Time Lords is in session.
Oh yeah.
And they have a plan, but he doesn't think it will work.
They pretty much lost control anyway.
Pretty much, but it implies and heavily suggests that when all 13 incarnations the Doctors turn up to pluck Gallifrey out and pop it to its own little pocket time thing, minutes before that, on Earth, the end of time was happening as the Master pushes Rassilon back through the rift.
Exactly, yeah.
So we've got the links between these two episodes and all more mad stuff going on at the same time in different time
And I also love that little build-up as well. It's like each sonic screwdriver has the same software, so it worked out the same problem of how to destroy the door, basically. That was brilliant, leader. Yeah.
Which was unlocked anyway.
Again, led up to a brilliant joke. Like, it's like, oh my god, they're going to like disintegrate the door. Oh no, wait, it was open the whole time.
And again, another great example of that, how much genuine humour was in this episode. It wasn't all sort of serious. Because, I mean, I enjoyed Russell T Davies' run, and a lot of his storylines were very sort of personal, emotional, all about, characters, how they feel about certain things, and how just being with the Doctor affects them as a person. Whereas Moffat tends to go for a bit of the more sort of grander, harder sci-fi themes, and just like the very big epic things.
Which sometimes really don't work, because I didn't like Stolen Earth and Journey's End. I really didn't like those. They weren't... Because, if I put it this way, the Pandorica opens and the Big Bang were way better than the Stolen Earth and Journey's End.
Yeah, but actually, Russell T Davies' episodes, when he does, Father's Day is one of my favourite episodes of the Eccleston run.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's got barely any sort of effects in it or anything really, besides the weird...
Reapers.
The Reapers, that was it, yeah. And when Davies was doing episodes like that, they were some of his strongest episodes. Again, when he got into like the larger, more epic sci-fi ones, he tended to rely a lot on Deus Ex Machina and
also a lot of
kind of fell apart.
Cameos.
That as well, yes. Whereas Moffat is kind of like the opposite. He does the big epic themes very well. Smaller personal stories he doesn't do as well. But in Day of the Doctor, I think he showed that he is really quite capable of those. There's at least personal themes. I mean, it's still a massive sort of like epic backdrop, but he got some more of that sort of small scale, personal, sort of heartfelt kind of storytelling to it.
When Russell T Davies can really do a personal one, you get something like Midnight.
Oh yeah, now that was a great. I mean, just it was in a way that one sort of harkened back to classic Who in the terms of like budget. It's like we got like sod all budget. It's an episode that had to rely purely on its writing. It's essentially like it's a single drama.
Basically, Midnight is Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, wow. I've never thought of it that way before, but that is a really, really apt analogy for it. Yeah, at midnight is Doctor Who's Lord of the Flies episode.
Exactly, that's basically what it is. And also, you know the old scientist in that? It's Patrick Troughton's son. Yeah, it is.
No way. Oh my God. See, I'm learning so much tonight.
And actually, if we're speaking about old classic Doctors, shall we get to the one thing? This is big spoiler. Tom Baker's in this episode.
Yes. Although I am slightly disappointed, not hugely, just slightly, that his first line to Matt Smith wasn't, "Would you like a jelly baby?"
But that would be a bit too.
That would have been a bit too hokey and
or he
way
could have just
too
gone,
referential.
Take one of these,
or even just offered it. But actually, it's a good thing he didn't, because that seemed very ambiguous.
And actually, there's a theory going around. Which I kind of think is kind of true, actually, because if you see how the fourth Doctor regenerates, he meets someone called the Watcher, which is kind of like the future Doctor looking after making sure his regeneration goes well. And Matt Smith is about to regenerate, and people saying that's him meeting the Watcher.
Oh, interesting. Another theory I heard, because there's a plot point where the Tower of London is TARDIS proof. And they don't go into it about how it's TARDIS proof. It's just, it's TARDIS proof. With the presence of Tom Baker there as
curator.
As a curator, it's a theoretical future incarnation of the Doctor after he's, air quotes, retired. I'm trying to think. I can't remember the exact episode, but it is generally accepted in Doctor Who canon that a TARDIS cannot land inside another TARDIS.
Oh, yes.
Which makes the Black Archive a TARDIS.
Maybe he fixed the chameleon circuit.
Maybe he did. Maybe the entire Tower of London, or indeed just the cellar, is a TARDIS. It's the TARDIS.
It kind of
how's that
like,
for a mindfuck?
Speaking of it, the corridor also looked like a TARDIS corridor, didn't it?
Now that you mention it, it did very much. It had a kind of sort of a TARDIS feel to it. That sort of, it's hard to sort of put into words, really, but I could see it being a future, the TARDIS in the future. Yeah. Hence explaining why.
But also, I want to say that Tom Baker is 80 and he still hasn't lost a speck of his charm as the Doctor.
No, he has not at all. I was just not hands to my mouth going at that moment. It's like,
and he could pull off that look, the Doctor is the fourth Doctor stare. He can still pull it off.
And just the range of emotions he conveyed as well in his expression. Going from sort of ecstatic to near tearful to just so many. I couldn't count. It's a whole spectrum of emotion in just, what was it, 2 minutes of screen time? 3?
One of the best cameos ever, I think.
It was a fantastic cameo, and
it was kind of spoiled for me because I looked at Google
else can
News.
You say, really? Oh, I avoided everything because I was busy editing a video that Saturday anyway, so. Basically, I turned Twitter off, turned everything else off, did the video. By the time I did the video, it was up on iPlayer. So I watched it, spoiler-free.
And as soon as you heard that voice, you were like, oh my God.
So I was curious as to, I thought it might have been sort of like, who did I think it might be? I thought it might be Peter Capaldi.
I've seen a few videos where, reaction videos where everyone else thought that as well. But as soon as they cut to
as soon as you see the white hair, it's like, oh my God. It's Tom Baker.
Yeah, pretty much for me. It was the second he starts speaking, I was like, "Oh my god, don't ever leave! Don't ever leave again!"
Please come back to us, Tom
I mean, he
Baker.
still does Big Finish. He does Big Finish audio.
The Big
Yeah,
Finish audios, yeah, as does
yes,
Paul McGann as
exactly. Well,
well.
Tom Baker just started also, and also the final shot could have been a bit better. Can I just say, of the Day of the Doctor? The final shot of Day of the Doctor could have been a little bit better in the fact that
Uh,
the placing of their heads on the bodies didn't look right on some of them.
it did look a bit. You can see the pixels. I've seen many photoshops in my
Exactly.
time.
Like, I think it's definitely the one you can see really clearly is Paul McGann's. Like, his head does not look
Yeah,
right.
that's a bit. It's like, yeah, something's a bit off about this, and Christopher Eccleston's as well. Actually, quite noticeable. I thought, at least. It's the very obviously because they pan the camera up, and that's part of the problem. Because they have to sort of obviously when they composite it, they'd have to. Oh dear. Okay, well, unfortunately, due to technical issues, we've got cut a little short there. Although we've been going on for almost nearly an hour now. Which I'd like to thank Alex the Hunted for allowing me the chance to just nerd out madly. And I hope you've enjoyed this. It's just basically a massive, great big nerd out from the pair of us. But well, it's the 50th anniversary episode of Doctor Who. As I said, I've been watching it since the Sylvester McCoy era, and Sylvester McCoy was the Doctor I grew up with. And obviously, everyone's grown up with different doctors and so forth. And it's obviously been a big part of my life. It's just as it's been a big part of Alex's, and pretty much a big part of the lives of most British people, to be honest, especially with the new generation, with New Who, as well as old crusty people of my age, who sort of grew up either with Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker, or even going further back, Patrick Troughton, all the way back to William Hartnell, including John Pertwee and Tom Baker. So I'd say thank you very much for listening to us basically just nerd out for about an hour. And we'll see you next time for the Trumpton retrospective, which is totally going to happen. Cheery byes.